forever is certain, prepare for it now. That is not just a statement to nod at. It is a reality that demands our attention. Every single person who draws breath will step into eternity. It doesn't matter your background, your education, your bank account, or your achievements. Forever is not optional. You cannot cancel it, you cannot delay it, and you cannot negotiate with it. The clock of life keeps ticking, and one day it will stop. When it does, your forever begins. The sobering truth is that eternity does not ask your permission. It shows up on its own schedule, and when it arrives, it seals the choices you have made. That is why preparation is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Think about it this way: we prepare for everything temporary. We prepare for tests, we prepare for job interviews, we prepare for vacations, we prepare for retirement. Some of us even prepare more carefully for a dinner party than we do for eternity. But the irony is that all those moments we prepare for are fragile and fleeting. Retirement may last 20 or 30 years, but forever has no expiration date. A trip may last 7 days, but eternity cannot be measured on a calendar. And yet, how often do we give our deepest energy to what passes away, while giving little thought to what never ends? Preparation for forever means living with the awareness that your life is moving towards something greater than what your eyes can see. It means refusing to be tricked into believing that the temporary is ultimate. So many chase after things that cannot cross the line between time and eternity. You can't take your house with you. You can't carry your career into the next life. You can't transfer your bank account into forever. What goes with you is the character you built, the faith you lived out, the love you poured into others, and the choices you made in light of eternity. This preparation is not passive, it is active. It is about rearranging priorities so that eternal things carry the most weight. It is about measuring your steps not just by convenience, but by consequence. It is about asking yourself, will this matter 500 years from now? Will this decision echo in eternity? If the answer is no, maybe it doesn't deserve the top spot on your list. Preparation requires intentionality because the pull of the temporary is strong. The culture screams for you to focus on today, to chase pleasure, to chase status, to chase things that make noise but carry no lasting value. Preparation says, I will not be fooled. And let's be honest, there is an urgency to this. None of us know when forever will knock at our door. Young or old, rich or poor, life is fragile. That's why now is the time to prepare, not later. Later is not guaranteed. Later may never come. If you wait until you think you're ready, forever may arrive before you've even started. Preparation begins in the present moment, with the choices you make today, with the values you embrace right now. You don't stumble into eternity ready. You plan for it. You shape your life toward it. You take it seriously while you still have time. Earthly possessions fade, but eternal investments last. That is a truth many know in theory, but live as though it were a distant idea. Look around at the things we hold so tightly: houses, cars, jewelry, titles, clothes, and bank accounts. They shine for a moment, they impress for a season, but sooner or later they lose their grip. Rust corrodes, moths eat, markets crash, and fashions change. What was valuable yesterday is outdated tomorrow. A car fresh off the lot begins to lose value the moment it touches the road. A new phone that excites you today becomes obsolete when the next model is released. Even the finest house eventually needs repair, and one day it will belong to someone else. Everything you can touch with your hands is temporary, no matter how much you polish it, protect it, or pay for it. And yet, how many lives are spent chasing what will not last? How many sleepless nights are endured over what cannot be carried into forever? People fight over inheritances, hoard wealth they will never spend, or sacrifice relationships for promotions that fade into insignificance. The tragedy is not in having possessions, but in mistaking possessions for the ultimate prize. When material things become the goal, the soul is left empty, because the soul was never designed to be filled with what perishes. Eternal investments, on the other hand, carry a weight that time cannot erase. When you invest in faith, when you build your character, when you extend kindness, when you pour love into another life, those actions ripple far beyond what you can see. A word of encouragement spoken to someone in despair may carry them through a dark night, and that influence outlives you. A seed of generosity planted in someone's need may grow into a tree of hope that touches generations. A life lived with integrity, even when no one is watching, becomes a testimony that echoes long after you are gone. Those are the investments that follow you beyond the grave, the treasures that time cannot devalue. Consider this: when your life is over, no one will stand up and talk about how many pairs of shoes you owned or how many square feet were in your home. They will talk about the difference you made, the love you gave, the truth you stood for, the impact of your presence. People remember the eternal investments. That is why the wise exchange what is temporary for what is permanent. They understand that the return on eternal investments is never lost, never diminished, never forgotten. The choice is clear. You can spend your years chasing what fades, or you can build a life around what lasts. You can pour yourself into possessions that will one day belong to strangers, or you can pour yourself into people and purposes that will outlive you. Eternal investments may not always shine in the moment, but they shine forever. Every decision today shapes your tomorrow. Life is not random. The path you walk tomorrow is determined by the choices you make in this very moment. Too often, people want to reap a harvest without planting the right seeds. They want peace without practicing forgiveness, success without discipline, and joy without sacrifice. But life doesn't work that way. Decisions are like seeds. What you sow, you will eventually grow. Every word spoken, every action taken, every step you choose creates momentum that moves you toward a destination, whether you realize it or not. The challenge is that many underestimate the power of small decisions. They think it's just one compromise, just one shortcut, just one choice that nobody sees. But one decision repeated becomes a pattern, and patterns create destiny. A student who chooses laziness over study one day may not see the consequences immediately, but repeated choices write the story of their future. A worker who cuts corners or avoids responsibility might get away with it at first, but in time, those decisions shape reputation and opportunity. On the other hand, a person who chooses integrity when it costs them, who chooses discipline when it's inconvenient, who chooses kindness when it's not deserved, that person builds a tomorrow filled with strength, honor, and respect. We often admire those who seem to stand strong in the face of trials or lead with wisdom in difficult times, but rarely do we see that their strength was not built in the moment of crisis. It was built in the daily decisions made long before the spotlight ever came. A life of character is not the result of one grand choice, but of countless smaller ones. Each decision is a brick, and over time those bricks build a wall, a house, or a fortress. What kind of structure you live in tomorrow depends on the material you lay down today. This principle applies to every area of life: relationships, finances, career, health, and faith. A relationship grows or withers based on daily decisions to listen, to forgive, to respect. Financial stability comes from choices to save, to plan, to steward resources wisely, not from one lucky moment. Health is shaped by what you put in your body, how you move it, and how you care for it consistently. Even faith is strengthened by the daily decision to trust, to pray, to walk in obedience. Tomorrow does not appear out of thin air. It is the sum total of decisions made today. That is why intentionality is so important. You cannot drift into a meaningful life. Drifting only takes you away from purpose. To move toward the future you hope for, you must decide on purpose, act with vision, and choose with eternity in mind. Every yes to something is also a no to something else. Every choice carries weight. When you see decisions through that lens, you realize how valuable today really is. Today is not just another day, it is the soil in which your future is planted. Living for forever means living with vision and conviction. Vision gives you direction, and conviction gives you strength to stay on course. Without vision, life drifts into distraction. Without conviction, life bends under pressure. When you live only for today, your choices are driven by impulse, by comfort, or by whatever feels good in the moment. But when you live with forever in mind, you look beyond immediate gratification to lasting impact. Vision lifts your eyes from the temporary to the eternal. It allows you to see that your life is not an accident, that you are here on purpose, and that your steps have meaning. Conviction anchors you so that when opposition rises, when culture shifts, or when trials come, you do not abandon your path. Many people admire vision but avoid conviction. They like the idea of dreaming big, but they don't want the cost of standing firm. Vision without conviction is nothing more than wishful thinking. It paints beautiful pictures but never builds them. Conviction without vision can turn rigid, focused on rules without direction. But when the two are united, they create a life that moves with clarity and stands with strength. You begin to walk with a sense of destiny, refusing to be swayed by distractions or discouraged by obstacles. Living with vision means asking yourself bigger questions. What am I here for? What will outlast me? How can my life contribute to something greater? Those questions cut through the noise of busyness and point you toward eternity. When you know why you are here, you stop wasting time chasing what doesn't matter. You align your energy, your talents, and your resources toward what carries eternal weight. You make decisions not just for comfort, but for calling. Conviction takes that vision and makes it durable. Anyone can have a dream when conditions are easy, but conviction is what holds you steady when conditions are hard. Conviction says, I will not compromise my integrity even if it costs me. Conviction says, I will keep pressing forward even if others mock or misunderstand. Conviction says, I will remain faithful even when it feels easier to quit. A person with vision but no conviction will abandon the dream when the road gets tough. A person with conviction but no vision may stand strong but not know why. But a person with both is unstoppable because they know where they are going and they refuse to give up along the way. Living for forever calls you to combine vision and conviction. You do not simply live for the applause of people, but for the approval of eternity. You do not measure your worth by how quickly you rise, but by how faithfully you endure. When vision guides you and conviction grounds you, your life becomes consistent, purposeful, and impactful. Every day, every choice, every step becomes part of a bigger story that will last beyond time. Legacy is built in the present, not postponed to the future. Too many people live as though legacy is something that magically appears at the end of life, as though one day, when age has caught up with them, they will suddenly begin leaving something meaningful behind. But legacy doesn't work that way. It is not created in the final chapter. It is written line by line in the choices you make today. What people will remember about you tomorrow is being shaped by how you live in this very moment. If you want to be remembered as someone who was kind, generous, and faithful, you cannot wait until later to become that person. You must live those qualities out today. Think about the stories told at memorial services. People rarely highlight titles, trophies, or paychecks. They talk about the way someone made them feel, the way someone stood beside them in hard times, the way someone lived out their convictions when no one else would. Those testimonies are not built in a single day, but through years of consistent choices. Legacy is not an event, it is a process. It is what happens when daily actions, values, and words accumulate into a story that others cannot forget. The danger of postponing legacy is that life is uncertain. None of us knows how many years we have left. To say, "I will start living with purpose later," is to gamble with time you may never receive. Later is a dream, now is a reality. The habits you practice now are shaping your legacy already, whether you realize it or not. If your words are harsh, that becomes part of your legacy. If your actions are selfish, that too becomes part of your legacy. On the other hand, if you choose patience when you could choose anger, if you choose service when you could choose selfishness, if you choose to give when you could choose to keep, those choices build a foundation for a legacy that endures. Legacy is also not limited to public accomplishments. Some of the greatest legacies are lived quietly. A parent who consistently models love and discipline for their children is building a legacy. A teacher who takes time to invest in one struggling student is building a legacy. A friend who stands firm in loyalty year after year is building a legacy. These moments may seem small at the time, but they create ripples that reach further than you can imagine. The truth is that everyone leaves a legacy. The question is not whether you will leave one, but what kind it will be. You don't get to choose whether your life impacts others. You only get to choose what kind of impact it will make. That choice is made not in the future, but in the present. Every word you speak, every action you take, every value you embrace contributes to the story you leave behind. If you want to be remembered for faith, integrity, love, or generosity, the time to start living those qualities is now. Live today urgently, but plan with eternity in mind. Life is a strange balance of brevity and forever. On one hand, every day is fragile, a gift that can be taken without notice. On the other, eternity stretches beyond imagination, never-ending and unshakable. To live wisely, you must hold both realities at once. Treat today as though it might be your last, and shape your future as though forever is waiting for you, because it is. When you ignore the urgency of today, procrastination steals your purpose. When you ignore the weight of eternity, short-sightedness robs you of direction. But when you embrace both, your life becomes sharp, focused, and meaningful. Urgency means you do not waste time assuming tomorrow will come. You love fully today, you forgive today, you take opportunities today. Too often, people postpone what matters most, saying the words "I love you," reconciling with someone they've hurt, stepping into the dream that has been stirring inside their heart, because they assume there will always be more time, but time is not promised. Every sunrise is grace, every breath is mercy, every moment is an open door that could close at any second. To live with urgency is to refuse the lie of delay. It is to act on the things that truly matter while the chance is still in front of you. But urgency alone is not enough. If you live only for the moment without considering eternity, your decisions will drift into recklessness. You will chase temporary thrills at the expense of permanent consequences. Planning with eternity in mind means filtering your choices through the question, will this matter forever? It calls you to look beyond the applause of people and measure your life by the standard of what outlasts time. It changes the way you spend your money, the way you treat people, the way you handle responsibility, because you understand that every action has a ripple that flows into eternity. Holding urgency and eternity together transforms how you live. It makes you intentional with the hours in front of you, while also making you wise about the direction of your life. You may choose to spend time with your family instead of being consumed by distractions, because you understand the eternal weight of relationships. You may choose to live with integrity in your work instead of cutting corners, because you understand that character lasts longer than a paycheck. You may choose to serve and give instead of hoarding, because you know generosity echoes beyond this world. Urgency ensures you don't delay these choices. Eternity ensures you choose the right ones. When you live today urgently and plan with eternity in mind, your life stops being a blur of random moments. It becomes intentional, steady, and impactful. You learn to seize opportunities without panic, and you learn to plan ahead without fear. Each day becomes part of a larger story, one that does not end with your last breath but continues into forever.